My own mind is my own church, Thomas Paine says in The Age of Reason, 1794. Now hold up. Why start with Paine's fiery deism in an episode about America's religious revival? Because that one-liner captures the tension at the heart of this era. As Jefferson to Jackson played out in politics, a spiritual earthquake, the Second Great Awakening, was rumbling through the countryside and mill towns. At the same time, steam engines were hissing to life, canals stitched regions together, and cotton transformed fields and fortunes. Spiritual Democrats and steam-powered entrepreneurs changed how Americans prayed, worked, traveled, and imagined the nation's future.
So we've got a 2-track story today. First, we've got revival and revolution, where revivalism and reform are going to grow alongside our second track, which is industrial and transportation revolution. You guys see what I'm doing here with the tracks?
I love
tracks.
the tracks.
Oh, we got some railroad action going on. So think big camp meetings outdoors and commuter boats. And, on Sundays, we've got women converting their husbands, and on Mondays, they're running looms.
That's very exciting. We're going to go to Cane Ridge, Kentucky, and see what that revival looks like. We're going to travel down the rivers with Robert Fulton's steamboat, across the many turnpikes and canals. We're going to go to those mills where women are running looms, and we're going to start looking westward to find the trails that lead to the far west, ending with a big question. So as the United States splinters into more of a regional, economic, and cultural distinctions surrounding North, South, and West, whose vision would ultimately set the course for the future?
So sorry if you heard Dr. Garrison slam his computer into his microphone during our intro music.
I don't think anybody would have noticed that had you
Just
not.
because you're angry, don't take it out on the computer, buddy.
Relax.
You're right. It's a hectic day.
It's been a super hectic
I don't know
day.
why. I thought it was going to be kind of a chill day.
I thought
and
the
it
same.
wasn't.
No.
It wasn't
Even though
a
the
chill
weather,
day.
the morning,
I
it was
did
pretty
enjoy
chill
that this morning.
Yeah.
I like a nice, cool, crisp
love it.
morning.
Love it.
Speaking of cool, crisp mornings,
Okay.
let's set the scene. Let's set the scene.
Wasn't the button you thought it was.
Let's set the scene. Ooh,
Okay,
that's
that
it.
works.
Ooh,
That
that was
That's
pixie
it.
dust music there.
So, by the 1790s, America's intellectual elite were flirting with deism.
Mm-hmm.
Now, deism, we mentioned that in the opening. We got to define this. This is the idea that there's a rational creator, being a being, right? Like a god almost.
They call it sometimes the idea of a clockmaker.
Yeah, and deism, this creator sets the world in motion and then steps back and just lets the chips or the leaves sort of fall where they may. So, as Thomas Paine said in our opening, my own mind is my church. Thomas Jefferson was a huge deist, and he literally cut miracles out of the New Testament with a razor. Well, not literally, but I mean.
Oh, yeah, he did.
No, he did.
Yeah.
Literally?
Yeah.
Because he didn't believe that.
Well, he thought the Bible, if you stripped it away of its supernatural, that's what he thought was the essence of what you should take from the Bible.
Yeah.
Because he was a deist.
Because deists prized reason over revelation and a God who didn't meddle. That's the point. That the God steps back and lets the clock turns as it will. But that is not where most Americans were heading at this time.
Right. So you get turn of the century, we're around 1800, and something big starts stirring. And here we go. We've got the sequel here, the Second Great Awakening.
Oh, yeah.
Yep. And it's going to really sweep across what is becoming the new frontier. So now that the West is opened after the American Revolution and after the War of 1812, more and more Americans are pushing into like what we now call the Old Northwest, the Ohio Valley, and the Old Southwest, kind of pushing towards New Orleans and the Mississippi. So these boom towns are going to start really blowing up in the 1820s and 1830s. So a lot of people on the frontier start turning to a new brand of fiery preaching, outdoor camp meetings, where it's all about personal conversion, but more importantly, this idea that you have free will. You can save your own soul. You can achieve a new level of morality if you work hard enough, if you testify, if you preach, if you save souls. And this becomes a real grassroots religion. It's not about cathedrals or clergy. It's just finding anybody who could be a preacher, stand on a stump, and move people.
Yeah, and as the name suggests, there was a first Great Awakening,
Right.
as we know.
We remember that.
From the 1730s and 40s. And there are similarities and differences in the first and second Great Awakening. Back in the 1730s and 40s, some of the high rollers from the first Great Awakening, Jonathan Edwards and George Whitefield, they really shake the colonies with their emotional preaching and their call for individual salvation. Whereas now in the 1800s with the second Great Awakening, it's going to happen in a very young and democratic republic. And so it's going to carry that same emotional power that the first Great Awakening had, but now it's going to fuse religious ideals into the rest of society and look to reform society in terms of equality, mobility, temperance with alcohol, education, mental health reforms, all of those things. In the first Great Awakening, it's truly just about religion. But in the second Great Awakening, it's about using religion to fix society.
We are literally throwing our net so much wider the second time around to capture more people, and the influences will be more disparate.
Move into the mic.
Move into the mic. Mike, we'll
Mike,
move into
move
the
into
mic.
the mic.
All right.
I'm sorry that I interrupted you.
No, that's okay. That's okay.
I heard him fine. I thought it was great.
I think we can hear him fine because we're sitting right next to him.
Well, that's true. And I do project. I have my father's
You
voice.
are yes. Yeah. You know how to project.
So do you, but in a different way.
What,
oh, you mean like in a psychological way, a Freudian way. Interesting.
The blockbuster moment that you alluded to earlier, Dr. Garrison, Cane Ridge, Kentucky, August 1801. Tens of thousands gathered for days of preaching, singing, and experiencing this emotional release. Barton W. Stone said the whole thing was a, quote, new and passing strange. Kind of an odd thing to say, but he was feeling that vibe, People cried out, they collapsed, and they rose again, shouting praise. What's the takeaway here? Salvation was a choice. Now, whereby when you compare that to the first time around, predestination, and the focus was so much more narrow. You had agency that second time around in the Second Great Awakening. That message fit perfectly with a growing, restless, mobile, self-made America.
Yeah, and this energy coming out of these frontier camp revivals, it doesn't just stay in the church tents, but it's going to ripple into society. And we really need to focus on two groups that are going to feel its effects. Firstly, women. At these camp meetings, it's really going to give them a voice. Literally, they're going to pray aloud, they're going to organize circles, and they're later going to lead reform movements like Sunday schools, temperance with alcohol, as I mentioned earlier, and aid societies. And so public influence for women really started to grow through these voluntary associations. So in the First Great Awakening, where women, were involved a little bit more in the movement, they were still expected to just sit in a pew and listen to a preacher, but now they're actually being encouraged to participate in wider society and take their lessons from religion and apply it to society. And then the next group would be Black Americans. And for both free and enslaved people, evangelical churches are going to offer dignity and community, and leaders like Richard Allen are going to help found the AME Church. They're going to build spiritual spaces that are going to quietly challenge slavery's moral claims. And all of these revivals, they don't just save souls, but they build community networks, and they become the scaffolding for antebellum reform movements such as temperance, abolition, and public education.
Yeah, I I had a discussion with students today, and we kind of settled on this idea that the Second Great Awakening is a giant stone thrown into a pond, maybe a walled-in pond.
Ooh.
And it's really the ripple effects that aren't maybe immediately obvious, but it's the ripple effects of the Second Great Awakening's desire for moral reform that lead to these other movements that start to spawn up. And you've got historians like Nathan O'Hatch who see all this as the same part of a democratic wave that is attached to Andrew Jackson. So as Ms. Keltner was saying earlier, we can't think of these two things as being separate, but they're happening simultaneously. So when we're talking about chronology,
It matters.
we need to remember that these two things are happening right next to each other. So just as Andrew Jackson is expanding democracy and the Jacksonian politics are sweeping across America, so too is this religious movement that says anyone can be saved, anyone can be a part of this grander design, right? Charles Grandison Finney, probably the most famous revivalist of the era, probably said it best, quote, "A revival is not a miracle. It is purely a philosophical result of the right use of the constituted means." So, in other words, salvation is something that could be organized, managed, and scaled to reach mass audiences. And revivalism, it wasn't just spiritual. It was about a language, spoke of industrialization and entrepreneurial America.
So while folks were flocking to camp meetings, other Americans were tinkering. Enter Eli Whitney's cotton gin, 1793, a simple machine that separated fibers from seeds with blistering efficiency. What is the result? A cotton boom. Oftentimes students think about, the cotton gin replaced slaves. No, it necessitated that there would be more slaves.
Right.
And this stretched slavery into the West, into the old Southwest, Alabama, Mississippi, Louisiana, Eastern Texas. The gin didn't cause slavery, but it supercharged its profitability in short staple cotton regions.
And another thing that Eli Whitney is going to popularize is interchangeable parts, or I should say are interchangeable parts.
Yeah.
It's plural. And initially in firearms contracts.
Although, you know what?
What?
If you say popularized, the concept of interchangeable parts is singular.
I didn't say that, though. Whitney also popularized interchangeable parts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. That checks out.
Yeah, that works. Yeah.
Kids, if you're listening, just know if something is singular, you should use is, and if something is plural, you should use are. A-R-E, not O-U-R.
Right. But if it's a singular concept.
Don't confuse them.
Yeah.
Okay.
But there are... Okay. Gosh, where do I go from here?
We don't know.
These interchangeable parts are going to normalize standardization and mass production. And in New England, where there was capital, so a lot of money to invest into all of this, vast rivers, and a tradition of maritime trade and craft shops, textile mills are going to expand exponentially. So let's go into some more specifics about why. First of all, water power from rivers is going to give the energy to these factories that are needed. Capital, so having money, you gotta have money to make money. You gotta spend money to make money.
Yep, that's what they say.
Right? So you gotta have capital.
That's good advice.
And then you need a labor system that could really be a script for multiple factories to use. And the Lowell system in Lowell, Massachusetts, recruited young women from farms to live in supervised boarding houses and work power looms. And mill owners sold it as a moral industrial experiment. And you guys, I actually went to a Lowell mill this summer.
I knew this was coming.
So
You went to a Lowell mill?
I did, and I actually would like to play the sound of what it would have been like to work in a Lowell mill because it is unbelievably loud.
Audience, prepare yourself.
But I gotta find it. Oh my gosh, I have a lot of pictures.
This is great radio. Isn't Lowell kind of a funny word to say? Lowell?
Lowell.
Lowell? It's like
Oh, here it is.
the
I got
show
it.
30 Rock When they,
Yeah, Lowell.
They have the rural juror, and they can't.
The rural juror.
Are you
That's
ready?
right.
Yeah. Okay. Sorry. Let's hear it.
Okay. I hope.
Okay. Any second now.
Wait, is it not going to play?
Oh, it might not because
Unable to
it's-
download the video. Well, I don't need to download it. It's on my
Well,
camera roll.
But
What's
okay.
up with this? No, this is really important.
This is.
Am I on the Wi-Fi?
riveting?
Can
stuff.
we? Do you think that you could?
Thanks,
Imitate
Eli
it?
Whitney.
You think you could imitate the screeching noise of that you would hear on the floor of the Lowell mill? That is unbearable. I mean, what you just did. So if you did
I'm
that-
not unbearable. The sound I
No,
made
it
is
was just the
unbearable,
sound.
right?
It was just the sound.
Well, how about that? I mean, I thought that if something was on your camera roll, you wouldn't need internet to play it.
If anyone out there would like to help Miss Keltner with her phone, maybe check into her seminar, and you can kind of walk her through how to watch videos on your phone.
I'm not finished.
Okay.
Okay. Another thing. Oh, and by the way, these looms, you might be asking yourself, what is this? Think of it, I'm going to put it in very simple terms. This is how I understand it.
Okay.
In these factories, they are taking cotton and they are weaving it into fabric that could be an article of clothing, it could be a kitchen towel. And so what these looms do is they take these strings of fabric and they sew them together basically to
Stretch
create
them out.
Yeah, they stretch them out and they put them together and it creates your kitchen towel.
Yeah.
Yeah. So just so you know. Another thing, so we got water, power, capital, labor system, and then a know-how and a technology transfer. So basically, like making this technology a one-size-fits-all, that if one factory is doing it, another factory can use this standardization and interchangeable parts to do the same thing. And we get these ideas from Britain, is where this factory stuff really starts.
Stole the idea.
Yeah,
Stole it.
and
Yeah.
it's transatlantic.
Samuel Slater.
Yeah, Samuel Slater.
Samuel Slater.
You missed another reason why they were in New England for the fall foliage.
Oh,
Don't remind me.
That's true.
Wouldn't that be great?
I couldn't go to New England this fall, and it's my favorite thing to do, and I didn't have time, and I don't want to talk about it.
Hey, how about all the New England listeners? Maybe you send in some pictures that we
Yeah.
can post.
Please.
Yeah, that would be great. New
That would
England
be
listeners.
lovely. That would be lovely.
Because the Missouri foliage, let me tell you, I drove through most of the state, and it's horrible.
It's not great this year.
It's not
brown,
Too dry.
It's dry.
Too dry.
It's
good. It's just light brown.
It's,
Missouri.
Oh
Yeah.
boy.
Wow, come on now. Easy. Yes. So I was gonna, do you want me to talk a little bit about short staple cotton?
I love that. Yeah, sure. Go ahead.
That's not in the script.
No, but I think it would be important to explain all this because the reason we have these mills is because of short staple cotton. So what's going on here is in the southern part of the United States, we were able to grow a type of cotton, but the problem is that the seeds of this cotton were really thick and hard to get
Very
out.
sticky.
Very sticky. So the reason that they needed this cotton gin, I see what you're doing. You're about to press a button, but I want you to know there are people listening right now, and they want to hear this. So Eli Whitney goes and visits a cousin. The cousin's like, I'd like to grow more cotton because it's so profitable, but I can't, these darn seeds. It's the seeds. So Eli Whitney looks at it and he's like, I got an idea. He basically creates a comb that will pull the fibers apart, and these seeds would just drop out into this little hopper.
Mm-hmm.
And that is why short staple cotton all of a sudden. Now, but Mr. Hill, you said this actually is not going to decrease the need for slave labor. It increases it because the cotton gin doesn't solve the problem of actually picking the cotton, which is a tedious, terrible job. Have you ever messed with cotton before?
So short staple cotton
The,
was a new type of seed that replaced long staple cotton.
It was the type of cotton that grew well in the United States. So like there's Indian cotton.
And when was that introduced?
I think it was very early on. The problem was, unlike tobacco that you could not quickly, but you could pick the cotton leaves, roll the cotton leaves. That was fairly easy to do.
Sorry.
With cotton, The problem was the darn seeds. It was the seeds.
It was the
Miss
seeds.
Keltner.
It's the seeds,
It's
man.
all about the seeds.
So now here's the ripple effect. Now that this cotton is scalable, now that you can actually grow it in large amounts and get the seeds out, these New England factories can bring that cotton directly from the South and not have to,
And thus, everyone is implicated in the institution of slavery.
That's exactly right. It really is the engine of the early American economy.
Wow.
Engine.
Okay.
Okay, so the War of 1812 is going to accelerate all of this because when the British imports were disrupted, American entrepreneurs said, okay, now's the time to go American, make American products and buy American products, and we can create our own domestic manufacturing center. This is going to lead to a demand for protective tariffs. We're going to need banks to infuse more and more capital. We need what they called internal improvement, so goods could be shipped north and south more and more. Why are you pointing at the
Talk into the microphone.
Oh, sorry. Am I not? Was I not? God, sorry.
Oh, I can hear you.
too.
All right. So internal improvements like roads and canals. And this is going to lead to, we're not going to get to it today, but eventually to something called the market revolution, where we shift from local bartering and exchange to regional specialization and eventually national markets.
And technology is not going to just spread on good vibes alone, although we've been hearing some good vibes about this new technology that is coming across the Atlantic. It's going to ride roads, rivers, rails, and railroads really matter.
Not yet.
We'll get to that. But first up in transportation, we've got turnpikes.
People always forget about the turnpikes.
The turnpikes.
Yeah, these are privately built toll roads like the Lancaster Turnpike, and they're going to cut travel time and signal that infrastructure was a public priority, even when privately funded. So you'd have to pay a toll to go on these roads.
How about this? The first house that we lived in Jackson, Old Cape Road, and it was the toll road between Jackson and Cape.
Yeah, there was a turnpike.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Where you literally turned the pike.
Right. That's to let your carriage go on it. You'd have to turn.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Another mode of transportation, steamboats. In 1807, Robert Fulton and his steamboat, the Claremont, chugged up the Hudson, proving that steam could actually beat the current. I love that sound on our board.
Yeah, we were chugging.
Chugga, chugga. And soon, steamboats knit the Mississippi and Ohio river system to the world, which is going to slash cost and time. And lastly, for transportation, we have canals. And the Erie Canal is going to be completed in 1825. And under the direction of the governor of New York, DeWitt Clinton.
DeWitt. Yeah.
Anybody who needs a name for a child.
DeWitt.
DeWitt.
Yeah.
Or a pet. DeWitt, sit.
Is this a pet or a child?
Either.
That works for both.
So the Erie Canal is going to carve a water highway from Buffalo to Albany, which links the Great Lakes to the Hudson in New York City, which then links to the Atlantic Ocean, which then links to the rest of the world, and it goes on and on and on.
It really is one of the
It's
greatest
unbelievable.
achievements of early American history.
Economic superhighway, yeah, it's unbelievable. And so freight rates to ship things they're gonna plummet. Farm prices and land values in the Old Northwest they're going to increase because of proximity to the canal, and New York City is going to crown itself the commercial capital of certainly the United States.
All because of a canal.
Thanks, canal.
You know what?
Erie Canal.
You got really excited about the canal thing.
I do. I love a canal.
I agree. I think it does not get enough love.
Yeah.
Come on now, Love Canal. Wasn't that like a super?
Oh yeah,
like a.
it was like a ride or something.
No. Love Canal was an area where it was there was a huge amount of either nuclear waste. Or some kind of, it was just trash.
Well, that's a downer. I do think, though, the Love Canal is like a ride at amusement parks, too, right?
Yeah, Niagara Falls, New York, infamous. Landfill that became the site of an environmental disaster discovered in 1977.
Oh, my gosh.
Decades of dumping toxic
I would know
chemicals
that because
killed
I was
residents.
10 in 1977. And were you guys born in 1977?
No.
Okay.
I was a spirit.
Okay.
So I wasn't in my human form yet, but I was in existence.
Okay.
Wow. Getting very spiritual.
Yeah,
here.
good.
It's so
Let's move past.
existential.
It is. Wow, all that from canals.
Mhm.
Let's go. So these canals, these arteries, they didn't just move goods. They moved people. They moved ideas, including the aforementioned revivals.
Exactly. Very good
Right?
point. Very good point.
Reform crusades, newspapers, political campaigns. The list goes on. If Charles Grandison Finney could schedule a revival, canal boats and steamboats ensured that there would be a crowd waiting on the
That's
other
a good
end.
way to think about it. Yeah. So this is important for our students, and anybody who's just thinking about how all this connects. But most Americans before 1840 were still very rural, much closer to Jefferson's yeoman ideal than this idea of the factory system and punching the clock. But the United States, though not yet a majority urban factory nation, is slowly moving in that direction thanks to these changes. So we've got a story of change amid continuity. We've got a market that's starting to stretch across the nation, but also it's really a farm society that the market is trying to stitch together.
Yeah, so let's go back to the mills, okay?
Really like these
Let's go back to
mills.
Lowell.
Lowell.
Yes,
Let's go back
because
to Lowell.
we can connect the War of 1812 to the Lowell mills in Massachusetts.
Do
so when imports are going to dry up because of the War of 1812, we're obviously not going to be trading with the British. American mills are really going to increase what they're producing. And so in the 1820s and 1830s, the Boston Associates, that's a proper noun, they're going to expand integrated cotton mills. And they're going to bring
Short staple cotton.
Yes, they're going to bring raw cotton in, and they're going to push finished cloth out. And so these famed Lowell girls, they live under rules which regulate their church attendance, their curfews, what they could read, but they also earn cash wages. And in time, they actually organize together into a union. And so factory time discipline, bell schedules, wage labor, this marked a really profound cultural shift from the seasonal farm rhythms. And it brings young girls together for the first time. And that means a lot, right? For their personal lives, to discuss things that they're going through, their hopes, their fears, their dreams, even just to have a little bit of fun together, but also to kind of...
Makes me think of Sisterhood of the Traveling Pants.
Well, they were making pants at the Lowell mills.
Exactly.
That's actually
Yeah.
what Sisterhood of the Traveling Pants was originally about.
Really?
And then Hollywood got a hold of it.
Typical Hollywood.
Typical Hollywood.
You know-
I thought this was a Taylor Swift album, the life of a Lowell girl.
Ooh, that's good.
That's good.
Boom!
That's pretty good, Mr. Hill.
Let's
Her
go.
name was Kitty.
That is great.
She lived in Lowell City.
You know, what's interesting
name was
is
Kitty.
these Lowell girls were so good at organizing and using their power as a union, or as a
They were witches. That's
proto
what I heard.
a proto union.
Okay.
Union adjacent.
Yeah, that eventually these owners were like, you know what? Let's get these girls out of here and replace them with immigrants who have nothing, and we'll pay them like half as much.
Right.
And they don't know what they're doing, and that's how we'll make more money. So, yeah.
Wow, how about that?
Kind of-
In the war, yeah, that was a down kind of a thing.
So it was good and bad for the
Right.
girls.
Right.
Yeah,
But we do have a burgeoning women's movement happening, and the Second Great Awakening there's a lot to be attributed to that. I think we don't attribute enough significance to just the fact that women are not so isolated within their own homes on outstretched farms anymore, and whether it's young women or older women trying to reform some of society, like these conversations, they really matter in making some significant changes for women.
They could get together and spill the tea.
Spill
I liked
the
it when you
tea.
said burgeoning.
Yeah, I thought, you know
Burgeoning.
what? I was going to say that should be our word of the episode.
Say it.
Burgeoning.
Did sound good.
Her name was Kitty. She lived in Lowell City. Her
Kitty.
name was Kitty. She lived in Lowell City. She had a kitty.
She was so pretty.
That one didn't work as well.
Okay, all right. So getting back to the war, yeah, that one, the War of 1812. So spurred lasting politics of this idea of internal improvements. Henry Clay, one of the most famous almost presidents in our nation's history. His American system blended tariffs, national bank, federally supported infrastructure to better connect regions into a single marketplace. So you're taking these regions, you're building a national economy. Not everyone agreed on who should pay or whether the Constitution allowed it, but the vision was clear that we're going to knit this nation with the fabric from the Lowell mills, probably knit the nation with roads and canals to boost growth.
So we've talked about the factories of the North, and we've talked about the growing cotton plantation system that's about to take off in the South. What about the West? So here we have it. Transportation plus an abundance of cheap land plus a restless population. What do you get?
I was told there'd be
migration?
no math.
Migration.
Okay.
Right. Yes. So let's go back for just a second. We've got Jefferson's Louisiana Purchase in 1803. And we have the surveying of the old Northwest. So think Ohio, Indiana, Illinois, Michigan, Wisconsin. And what we have here, family farmers who are looking to plant grain, have livestock, but now that they can ship all of their surplus on these canal systems back to the north, back to, gosh, I did it again.
Back to
It's been a long
Back to the
day.
north.
Back to the north. Now that they can ship that back, they have this opportunity to sell their goods to the marketplace.
Yes. Meanwhile, in the old Southwest, the plantation system is going to expand, as we heard, with short staple cotton.
Oh,
We know
boy.
all about that now. I really hope the DBQ this year is on short staple
What
cotton.
if it was? Wow, what an
Fives
advantage.
all around. But seriously though, this short staple cotton is going to be backed by the forced migration of enslaved people in the domestic slave trade from the Upper South. So the demand is higher than ever for enslaved people to use new technology like the cotton gin to gather even more cotton, and these profits are going to lock the Deep South into agriculture more than ever before, and into slavery and becoming reliant on export markets.
And don't forget about the far west, beyond the Rockies. Even before the great overland migrations of the 1840s, trappers and mountain men.
Mountain man.
That's how you say that, mountain man. Big beards. Big boots, big beards. Big bears out there, too.
Big old bears.
You wrestle the bears.
They
That's
could.
what you do.
Yep.
The trappers, the Santa Fe traders, after 1821, and missionaries pressed along new trails. These early routes prefigured the Oregon and California trails. Oh, okay. One of my super tough bonus questions today was about Independence, Missouri.
Oh, what was it?
The beginning of the Oregon Trail.
And from whence I came, Independence, also known as the Queen City of the Trails.
Yeah.
And every Labor Day weekend, they have a little festival called Santa Calagon Days. That's the Santa Fe, California, and Oregon trails that all launched from Independence, Missouri.
Very
wow.
exciting.
That is cool.
My God.
Finally, an actual cool story.
Yeah. Whoa. Hey. All of the other stories were pretty cool.
I think there's some subtext here.
I think there's some short staple cotton going on there. So, but the Oregon and California trails that made me think of that. Economic threads. You got your furs. You got your mules. You got your silver. You got your land. We're already tugging Americans west.
Excellent. So here's a synthesis.
Are you okay?
It's in my head now.
Are you okay?
A synthesis.
A synthi.
Here's the synthesis for students. Boy, here's the synthesis students should.
Do we need to call?
That was
I did it.
911?
No, that was
Oh.
good
No, I
alliteration,
did.
Okay.
actually. That
To
was
be
good.
It's
ready
like your
to
pauses
argue.
are weird.
Well,
and
I just
are
wanted
you
to.
having a stroke? I don't know.
Here it is. The Second Great Awakenings, volunteerism, and moral urgency is going to rise up in the same world as a growing market capitalism and infrastructure investments. You've got churches and reform societies who are using print and fundraising and logistics to grow their ideas and to save more souls, using the same tools that merchants were using to sell their products. We've got revival stress on self-improvement meshed together with wage labor's demands for being punctual, for being sober, and being disciplined in this workplace.
This synergy bred tensions, if you can believe it. The North, with its mills, its canals, and its swelling middle class, is going to gravitate more toward a free labor ideology and reform. We're going to get into that free labor ideology and really what that means coming up here. The South, on the other hand, they're riding the cotton boom, and this is coupled with slave labor, and they're going to double down on a regional order where elite planters are going to defend slavery as a positive good. We'll be discussing that as well in upcoming episodes. And then we have the West, and they want cheap land. They want internal improvements to get things from point A to point B and people from point A to point B. And they also want a political voice. So by the 1830s and 40s, you can already see these regional identities starting to harden.
And this is going to set up the question of the day, and that is, whose vision will end up winning? A reformed industrial free labor North, an agrarian cotton and slavery South, a boosterish West demanding roads, rivers, and rights? The answer, well, that's going to end up in a fight.
Yeah. Something.
Everybody's like, oh, yeah.
We got to, I think we're going to have to spend the next, 4 or 5 episodes explaining how all this plays out.
Yeah. And its relation to short, stable cotton.
Yeah, all that is true. Yeah. So thanks for tuning in today for A Push for All. If you like the episode, be sure to subscribe on Spotify. We should say we just crossed a pretty big moment.
Yes.
Not only do we now have a substantial number of subscribers on Spotify. Thank you to our Spotify listeners. But also, Ms. Keltner, you saw...
I saw that we have 100 5-star reviews on Spotify now.
Hit the button.
All right. We have over 100 5-star reviews on Spotify.
100.
So thank you, audience.
Not 99. 100. Not 98.
We appreciate
100.
The reviews. You could also leave us a review on iTunes or give us a thumbs up on YouTube. Those are all the places you can find our episodes. If you got a topic you want us to cover, send us a message because we're on Instagram at @APushForAll.
Yeah, we are. So until next time, keep learning from yesterday to make sense of today.